Yeah. And then once we do that, if you want to, what I call, transfer this data to a target. Target could be again, either it could be a flat file, or it could be a relational table, or it could be what we call a simple pig, which means what? We can display the data in the director or onto the console to make it very simple. So this is how we need to build a simple data stage job. Yeah, I repeat, we are trying to use sequential file stage, yeah, to read the data from a flat file, yeah, and then once you read it, then we can get it processed to what we call target. In this case, we are trying to display the data of what we have from a flat file, which is what we are trying to do over here. Yeah. Let me try to create what I call a flat file over here. Yeah. Like we have data like this, assuming that we are going to get data like this. Yeah. Once we have it, how do you read data from this particular flat file? Yeah. For that, we just need to what we call create a folder and store this particular file in any location. So it could be what we call a remote location, or it could be a local. You know, it could be anything. You know. Let's say seq_1. You know. So this is the first file we are trying to use in order to read data from a simple flat file. So this is going to be the structured data because data has been represented in structured format. Now let us start specifying this particular flat file as input to this sequential file stage so that we can start reading the data from there. Can you see here? We need to get into properties of sequential file stage where there is a file, red color text. What do we need to do? We need to browse to a location. Yeah? You need to browse to a location and start supplying this what we call flat file so that we can read the data. Yeah? Okay, Joe. So let us browse to a location and supply flat file. Yeah, C colon and then input is what I call folder where we have flat file. Yeah, and then say okay, fine. So this is what we need to specify, and once we are done with that, say okay, right? So path and file name need to be specified. Yeah. Once we specify path and file name, we can know. Next step is going to be what? This is just the data. We just give the path. But how to read the data? For that, what do we need to have? Metadata, which we call data over data or data about data. So that need to be done by getting into column stuff and start either defining columns from scratch, or we can also get the columns or structure from a repository. So let us start what we call defining the columns just to start with. After that, I'll show like how to import structure or metadata from the repository later on. Yeah? Now you can specify. So based on this input data, we need to what we call create metadata, which I'm trying to do now. Yeah. So let us do that. C1, C2, and let's say which is of type integer, and then C3, which is of type, let's say integer. We have three columns, right? And each column value has been separated with what we call comma as a delimiter. So that need to be specified within what we call format tab. Yeah. So here we need to get into field defaults. By default it is a comma. In case if we have or if you want to explicitly define comma or any other delimiter based on what we have in the source system, we can define that. Yeah? These are the three things that we need to define while or in order to read data from source system. Yeah? Let us start doing that. Yeah? So we have done it. One is what? For path and file name. Second is what? Columns. Third is what? Delimited. Yeah? These are the three mandatory input parameters that we need to supply in order to read data from what we call flat file. Other properties, I'll explain that. Now, once we are done with that, get it saved to any location. Yeah? So, 85, under that, we have created let's say folder which we call October and start storing this file or the job onto this location, yeah, which is sequential file, yeah, and then followed by pick, yeah, and then get it set. Yeah. This is what need to be done as part of what I call building a job and get it saved. So this is the second step. Once you save it, where it is going to store, it is going to store this particular job in repository which we call either in DB2 or in UV. DB2 we all know that it is a database, but UV is also a database which is universe database. Yeah? So that's where this particular what job would get stored. Yeah? Once you store it, next step is what? We need to validate this particular job by using what? Compilation. Yeah? Can you see here? I just clicked on this particular button, which is compile button. As a result of that, job would get compiled and output of this compilation will be stored in where? Again in repository, which will be basically UV or in DB2, yeah? Which is what will be done as part of this repository part. Yeah? Yeah, there is a question from Joe. How do you specify where the repository goes? That is a default. At the time of installation, we install what you call one of the database like a DB2, Oracle or SQL Server that we need to specify. And once we specify that, without repository we can't even bring up a designer or whatever. So that is by default you'll have it, plus that's a DB2 or Oracle or SQL Server, plus we also have what you call UV, which is universe database. That also can be done by using what file system based database, which I'm going to show now. So this is wherever datastage installed, you will have it under IBM information server, and then project name. Can you see the server and then projects? Under that project, this is what I call UV database, which is a file system based database. Within that you will have what I call RT underscore SC, which indicates what I call location of the job where this compiled output will be stored. Let me go to what I call RT underscore SC star. Star indicates 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's go to that and see how this particular file or output of this particular job will be stored. That is a default. We don't need to specify, but we specify the save as job name, right? That is the location of this particular job. Apart from that, in the server side, this particular job will be stored what you call under this particular project. That is a default. Let me start getting into RT underscore SC. Yeah, can you see here RT SC1, SC10 and so on, right? So this is how what I call for each job, what I call it is going to create a separate folder, which starts with RT underscore SC. After that, the unique number for each job sequentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. So which is what you will see here. So latest number is going to be the latest job. That is a default which we don't have control. Datastage will take care of creation of this. So if you take any latest number, which is sorry, Yeah, sure, Joe. This is what you have. So this is a location where this particular job would get stored. Yeah. Can you see here? This is a job, or else we can open this in the WordPad. Oh, I closed it. Yeah, let's open that. Yeah. So this is a UV, so file system based database where this particular output of this compiled job will be stored onto this repository. Can you see here? We have used sequential file stage. This is the one. Yeah. Internally, datastage got some operator which we call import whatever. That's the internal thing. So then in this we define what? Three columns C1, C2, C3, and then we specified input path and file name. This is what we have done it. And then the target stage is what? Peak stage, which you can see here. And then once we have it, job is done. So which means what? Our data stage job which we have built it by using data stage designer will be saved onto the what we call U repository that we have seen, right? That's the location where it would get stored. Yeah. Once we know that, next step is what? That is the repository location where it will be stored. Yeah. But here from data stage designer, if you want to save it to any location, we can say save as and specify folder and then job name. So here we have 8/5 October, under that save. That's what we have. So backend we have seen it, and also front end also we have seen it now, yeah, which is a repository anyway. Now once we know that, then the next step is going to be what? We need to start getting this job compiled. Yeah. So which means if we compile this particular job, output of that will be sent to a repository which we have seen, UV repository, right, where the job got saved. The next step, which means we did what? Building a job, saving a job, compiling a job. And the fourth step is going to be what? Executing a data stage job. Yeah? So which is what we are trying to do. To do that, click on run button so that job would get executed. Yeah? So let it get executed. Yeah, once it is successfully executed, can you see here? This color, link color, right? From black line with arrow to green line with arrow. So it will be converted from black line with arrow to green line with arrow, which indicates what? Job has been successfully executed and the data has been transferred to a target, which is what? A peak. So peak is what? Just to display the output in the console, meaning what? Into the standard output. Yeah. Now we can open this what you call director. Can you see here? Go to tools and run director where we could able to see the status of this particular job. Yeah. Yeah, let it get open. Yeah, here now it got open, right? This is a location where we have stored, right? Can you see here? Under 8 file, there is a October folder where we can see what we call job, which got created. Yeah? Now right click and say view log, where we could able to see what we call logging messages for this particular job. Yeah? So in this, what we did here was we have just used like a flat file, which is a sequential file, to read the data from a flat file and start getting it transferred to a target, which is what? Simple peak stage or display. Can you see here? You can just open and see the data which got transferred. But there is one what I call warning over here. We need to understand why we got this particular warning. Can you see here? There is EOF, missing delimiter, yeah, which is empty or whatever. So EOF instead. So how are we going to what I call fix this particular problem? So after this, we have what I call third row, which has also got transferred to a target. So this is how we can read the data and start getting it transferred. So saw EOF instead means what? The file does not contain end of file marker. So just press enter after last row so that it could able to find the last line as EOF, which is end of file marker. Yeah? Now any change that you do in this particular job, we need to recompile, but in this exam now we have not changed any job. Instead what we did, we have just changed the data in flat file. So in that case you don't need to recompile it. But running you need to do second time in order to see the effect of this particular flat file data change. Yeah, let it get executed. Yeah, now it got executed, right? Same, how many rows have been transferred? But in this particular example, we are trying to what we call fix that EOF warning. Can you see here now? Now that warning is gone. So all the three records have been transferred to a target without any warnings or any errors. So we need to make sure that we fix all the warnings so that there will not be any issues while transferring data to a target. Yeah, and then say close. Yeah. So that's it. This is a simple example which I was trying to talk like how to read the data from a flat file and get it transferred to a target using what in this case target is just display under the console. Yeah. So I'll show examples like how to get it transferred to relational tables, all that as we go on. Yeah. So once we know like how to transfer data to a target, next step is going to be what how are we going to take care of what we call other operations like let us say in case of any what we call issue with respect to what either port or it could be some other change, which means what flat file data changes. Yeah? How are we going to take it? Let us start doing that. Yeah? Which means let us say we have some row where records or record might have not as per or might not have comma delimiter. Instead it has, let us say, some other delimiter. Yeah? If we have such records, so how are we going to what we call take care? Yeah? So this is the right data, but assuming that instead of comma they have given semicolon for one of the field. Yeah. So if we have that, then this particular record or row is not in compliance with what we expect as per the format. So as a result of that, what will happen? That particular row should get what we call rejected. Yeah? So how are we going to take care of this rejected record captured in what we call datastage job, which means what? How many records where there is a good data, how many records where there is a bad data. So how to capture good data, how to capture bad data. So far we focused on only the good data, which means the data which is as per our expectation. Now we have added one more record which is not as per our expectation. So what will happen if we run this particular job? Then what will happen? The fourth row which we added just now, that will not be read by using this sequential file stage. It will be read, but that data will be rejected instead of making that particular record transfer to a target. Yeah? So let us run. We already executed, right? Now we can go and look at the output over here. Can you see here? There is a warning here where we can start looking at what warning message we got. This file delimiter C2 not found, which means what after C2 we added what semicolon, which is what this. So that is why whatever after 77 whatever, right? So that after C2 we have semicolon, right? So that it could not able to read. Yeah? That is what I call reason why this particular record is or has got skipped or ignored. So but how are we going to capture such records so that we can ask data analyst or the guy who has got good knowledge on data, they can start getting this particular record fixed. To do that, we have a concept of what we call reject link within the data stage, through which we can capture rejected records, which means rejected records are the ones which are not in compliance with what we expect. Yeah? So I'll just specify a job name which is what rejected records. Yeah? Yeah. So which means what? Just let us have a job based on each functionality so that it's easy to remember. Okay, if you just open a job, this is what the functionality we are going to get. Now we have saved it onto another job and capture rejected records in another output link which we call a reject link. Can you see here? Dotted line with arrow indicates what? Reject link. And we can specify what is called target, which is going to be another peak, which is what? Peak 5. Which means peak 5 should have rejected records and peak 1 will have normal outputs or normal records which are as per our format specification, and here you will have what I call rejected records. Yeah. Now save this particular job, yeah, and look at output which is rejected records as well as what I call normal records. But to capture that we need to specify reject mode as what? Output, which means we are outputting rejected records to what? One more target which we call peak 5. Yeah, that's where we are going to capture rejected records. Here you will have normal records, or so we call this as a stream output link or normal output link. This dotted line with arrow which indicates what reject link. That's it. Now save it and compile and run, because we change the properties in a job, right? Any change that you do in job would require recompilation. We have done that. After that we can run this particular job. Yeah. Yeah. Now we can see statistics here. 3 rows have been transferred to a target which is a peak 1, and 1 row has been transferred to another target which is peak 5. So 1 row got rejected, 3 rows have been transferred to normal output. Now we can go to director where we can see whether we have what we call good data in one peak and bad data in another peak. Let's open that and select view log. Here you can see it. There are 2 peaks, right? Peak 1, which is a one target where you will have normal records. Can you see here? These are the good records. Yeah? Now there is a one more peak which is what? Peak 5, where we are trying to capture what we call rejected records. Can you see here? This, because of this semicolon, this record got rejected. So this is how we can capture rejected records within this what we call data stage. Yeah? So once you capture this, then what we do here is, so others like data analyst or whoever, they would start taking a look at this particular job and start what we call fixing this particular record. Yeah. So as such, developers would not do that, like fixing the data issues. That should be done by a person who has got good knowledge on data and business. Yeah. So that's what we have. Clear? So once we do that, the next example is going to be what? We need to start what we call focusing on how to read data from multiple files. Yeah. So far we focused on data from a single flat file, right? But in reality, you might get what I call data from multiple source systems. In that case, how are we going to take care of reading the data from multiple sources? So that is going to be the key challenging part. To answer that, we can start configuring. So we can start configuring this particular sequential file stage so that we can start getting the data read from what I call multiple files. Yeah. Now let us start doing that. So we can create a job from scratch, or we can also save this particular job. Let us create a job from scratch during initial days instead of saving it, so that you will understand from scratch. Yeah. Now specify what we call sequential file stage, and then target could be what we call peak or whatever. Yeah, yeah. Rahul and Srinivas. So we have it at Srinivas. It is at 5:30, right? And Rahul, yours is at 6:30 a.m. IST, right? So we have a lot of time. Yeah. Now let us specify one target, which is a peak one, and then connect this particular sequential file stage to target, which is peak one. Yeah. This is what you will see. Okay, Rahul. Yeah, that's good. So, yeah, then once we do that simple job where we could see two stages over here. Yeah. Now, our goal is what to read data from what we call more than one file. Yeah. Let us start creation of one more file. Yeah. Let us say I'll just take out this. We'll try to have good data. Yeah. So yeah, now save this particular job to, or save this particular file to another file. Yeah, here we can see that. Yeah. SEQ2, which means what sequential file 2, yeah, which we are trying to specify so that we could able to read from here. Yeah. There are two files, right? Now we need to know like how to specify these two files so that we can start reading the data from what I call two files. So that's what we are going to do now. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go to this datastage designer and specify files. Open the sequential file stage. Yeah. This is the first file. What do you call? You can just select red color text, which is a file. Question mark indicates we need to supply input here, and then browse to a location where we have these files. That's a file 1. Yeah? But both of them you cannot select in one go. Only one file at a point we can select it and say what you call OK. So this is how we can specify one file. Similarly, you can also specify more than one. Click on source. On the right side you can see file link, and click on that. Then we can also specify one more file. Likewise, we can add any number of files so that we could able to read data from more than one file. Can you see here? Now we have specified even second file also. Now the next is what? We need to define columns. Remember, if you want to read data from more than one file, structure should be same. Which means what? With respect to column type, all that. Then only we could able to read data from more than one file. So which is mandatory part, which means structure should be same. That's what need to be done over here. And say OK plus delimiter, right? Delimiter by default anyway, comma. In case if we have anything other than that, we can also specify over there. So this is what need to be done as part of what we call configuration of simple job, where we have what we call two files. Any questions over here? So once we do that, next step is going to be what we need to start getting into what we call how to what we call save this job and compile and run. So that's the next step that we are going to do now. Okay, so let us save this job by using save button. Click on save. What happened? Yeah, Sunita, what happened? I can't access. Anyway, let me save this file, save as, or even if you click on save also, you'll get this save window. Now you can specify, let's say, sequential file with multiple input files, right? And then followed by peak. So which is what we can specify here, because we gave input as what? Multiple input files. And then once you save it, rest of the steps will be same, like what? Compile and run, which is what we are trying to do. So now the job has been compiled, so it will be stored in repository, which we have seen in the server side, also UV, which is universe, and also then we can run this particular job. So we saved it. Next step is what? We need to compile so that we don't have any issues with respect to what we call configuration of this stage and also this stage and connectivity between these two stages. So these three things are all the properties and also link between multiple stages will be taken care as part of compilation. So which means job should be compiled with no errors, which indicates we don't have any issues or any syntactical issues, and then run this particular job. Click on run button, which is a triangular button. Yes, Sunita.
From
Yeah. Go ahead, Sunita.
all these are from the right structured data.
Yes. So now we are focusing on structured
We
data. You
also
are right.
structured together.
Yes, Sunita.
And can we also do structured and unstructured, or it should be only structured data?
But sequential file stage will be used to take care of only structured flat file data. So we cannot use sequential file to take care of unstructured data. To do that,
Oh,
there is separate separate steps we need to follow, which I'm going to talk later. No?
okay, okay.
Fine. Any other questions? Okay, let me just mute. Now we know how to specify, right? And we know how to compile. The next step is going to be what? Run this particular job by using this run button. This is triangular green color button. Then click on run button so that job would get executed. Yeah, now this job got executed. Can you see here? Previously we have seen what I call how many rows? 3 rows. Now how many rows we can see here? 6 rows, because we just saved a same file into another file. So we have 2 files. We specified 2 files, right? So each file we have 3 records. So totally there are 7 rows which need to be read from 2 files, and those rows should be transferred to a target, which is what here? Simple display, which is what using peak stage. Now save this, or we can go to view status. Can you see here? There is a status button, or we can go to view menu and status, where we can see all the jobs which we have built it. So we can select this particular job, right click and view log, so that we can see the output. Can you see here? Here we have what I call all the records, which is read by using sequential file stage and got it transferred to target, which is in peak, peak underscore 1 comma 0. Can you see here? These are all the records. So one prerequisite here is what? Structure should be same from all the files. Then only we could able to read, or else we can't read the data. Let's say one file has got all semicolons delimiter for each field, but other file if we have comma delimiter, in such scenario we can't take care of reading the data from such files. So that's what we have as part of this, what I call multiple files. So yeah, once we know that, next step is going to be what? We need to start getting into how to take care of rejected records in case if we have rejected records in some files. That's a second file is a sequential file too, right? Or add one more row so that you will see, or which is different data, right? So we focused only same data, right? Data could be anything. I'm just adding one more row with what I call some data in it. Now in this case, if you run this particular job, you will have what? 7 rows. First file would contain 3, and this file is would contain what? 4 rows. So now if you run this particular job, 7 rows should be transferred to a target, which is peak here. Yeah, can you see here? There are 7 rows. So depending upon the number of rows of what we have, yeah, so it would be read and get them transferred to a target. Yeah. Now open this, yeah, director, and look at what we call the last row also, apart from the previous 6 rows. Yeah. So this is what I call like how we can take care of reading the data from more than one file and get it transferred to a target, which is what we have discussed so far. Yeah. So once we understand this, Next step is going to be what? How we can start taking care of what we call in case if we have any rejected records within this flat file. So how are we going to take care of rejected parts? Yeah. That also can be done, which means let us say you might have some rejected records over here. I'll just put here some value, yeah, like this. So in this case what will happen? This particular record should get rejected, yeah. So which is what we are going to see now, yeah? Now let us run this particular job again and see like how this particular record would get rejected. So we just need to run because we changed only data in a file, right? We did not touch what we call job. So in that case we don't need to compile. Yeah, now you can see right here 7 rows have been transferred to a target. One row which is not red, though we added it because there is a problem with respect to type, which is string instead of integer. Now we can go and look at this particular record got rejected. Can you see here? You'll get a warning saying that why this particular record got rejected. Yeah? So you will see here some field C1 import error, no default value or whatever, which means what? We cannot store this particular value in integer, right? If the type is string, then we could able to read it. This is a second example, like a how what I call the record would get rejected. First example, what we tried was we tried with respect to format, which is what instead of comma we have used semicolon. With that also we have seen how the record would get rejected. Now what did we do? What did we do? We have what I call used type, which is a different type value than what was configured. In that case also record would get rejected. Yeah? So but whatever got rejected, it will not be transferred to a target, which means to a peak. Yeah? But if you want to capture that, you can capture that in another link, which we call reject link. So let me save this particular job to reject, which is by using what? Multiple outputs, right? So which means what? We can also capture rejected records, though we read the data from multiple input files. Yeah? So this is what we do. And once we do that, get it saved, compile and run. Yeah? So that we could able to see, recall result. So there is a reject link property. This is a compilation error because we are capturing rejected records. Yeah? But to have this reject link, what we need to have here is reject mode should be output rather than continue. Continue means what? Irrespective of whether you have good records or bad records, data would get transferred to a target. But in this case, we have one bad record. To capture such bad records in separate link, which we call reject link, we need to specify reject mode as what? Output. And then say OK. Save it, compile and run because we change job. Right? Yeah, compile it and run. Yeah. So which is what need to be done as part of this configuring a job where we have rejected records. Yeah? Now we can capture them in separate link. Can you see here? There are 2 rows which got rejected and 7 rows which are transferred to normal output link, which is what you will see here. Yeah? Now let's go to what I call job which is another job, right? That we need to open. I think this is a one. You can see here, but I can expand that and see the job name. We gave what? Underscore reject, right? Multiple input files, or we can sort all the jobs in what? In based on the most recent date, and then right click on this particular job to look at the logging messages. Now we could able to see capturing rejected records. You can see here there is, this is a first rejected record and this is second rejected records. In this case we have one semicolon. In this case we have type problem. Yeah? This covers both what you call one type mismatch, other is what you call delimiter mismatch. Yeah? So which is what we could do as part of this. Yeah? Clear? Any questions here? Yes, Raj, we are starting. IDQ part, another 2 minutes we are starting. Yeah? So if you have any questions, you can shoot out, or else we need to stop here. If there are no questions, what we'll do is, we'll meet again at 4 p.m. IST. For all datastage guys, 4 p.m. IST, we have a class again. Yeah, we'll look at it at 4 p.m. IST, Joe, if you are okay, which is 4 p.m. IST, which will be 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. 6:30 a.m. EST. Fine. So yeah, Saturday, you're right. Yeah? Please join same link. Oh, link probably it's a different link. I'll send it. Except Silpa. Silpa, can I have your email ID so that I'll drop mail to you? silpa.konda@gmail. Yeah, so I'll drop an email with a new link so that you guys can join at 4 p.m. IST. Fine? Okay then. Thank you very much to datastage guys. Yeah, sure, Jai. That anyway I'll explain, Joe. Yeah, or I'll just also drop a mail. Yeah.